I had a viewer ask me, so what nonfiction books do you enjoy? To which, of course, this video happens. Of course, I have several books still at the old house in the cargo C-van. If you're new to my channel, in the last year we ended up moving to a rental house that had a lot more space for us. And we were trying to get our old house, which is a cinder block 1950s home with 770 square feet for the 7 of us. Now you know why I had to move. But we needed to get that up on the market, so we moved here, but there was still a lot to clean out over there. There's a lot of stuff to do on that house. And of course, when you're renovating, anything is up in the air as to when it's going to get done. But I have still a lot of books over there. Probably the ones that I don't reference as much. Actually, a lot of my personal books are just over there, and I have a ton of the kids' books here. I don't have all those that I can just pull out and show you. I did just grab stuff that I knew that I had here. Again, there's many more. To the writing of books, there is no end. But let's just get started, okay? I don't have these in any particular order. So the first one I'm grabbing is Having a Mary, Hart, and a Martha Home. One of my absolute all-time favorite books. I don't say a lot about devotional type books. I don't typically say like they changed my life. This is one that changed my life and changed my perspective, and I reread it often. And that tells me it's a good book when I reread it often, and anytime I see a copy, I pick it up and give it away. So Having a Mary, Hart, and a Martha Home. What I think I love best about this book is that I feel like so many times we have Martha as one that you're not really to follow after. Mary is the perfect one that you need to be taking to heart, like really just focusing on Jesus or letting go of Martha. But what I love about Joanna Weaver in her book is, like, you know what, we're all a little bit of Marthas and Marys, and learning to balance it out is actually the key. It's not that we do away with Martha or that we forget Mary. It's that we have to find a little bit of balance in each one. Highly, highly recommend this book. This one is a more recent one that I read, The Pleasures of Reading in an Age of Distraction. And it's not a response to Mortimer Adler's How to Read a Book in the 1940s. It's not really a response to that, but it is kind of in the same way. And it's just, it made me rethink about reading books, that the books to read are for pleasure. You don't have to analyze every single book that you read in a sense of its value, for lack of a better word. And I thought that was really good, and it just really made me think about books in a different way. So that's one that I absolutely love. This is probably a book, again, that changed my perspective in life. First of all, this is the first book I picked up off the shelf of Target. That might seem weird, but I don't normally buy books off the shelf, especially books like this. I'm more likely to play it safe when you purchase a huge amount, or when you pay more up front for like a brand new book. $16 is what this says it was retail value. If I'm going to put $16 out, I want to make sure that it's going to be worth my time, and I don't normally choose things like this for that. But I had heard so many good things, and so I did pick it up, and it was just mind-boggling. And I love books that just really, really make me consider the choices I make in everyday life, whether that be habits or spiritual or motherhood or anything. I don't want to constantly be questioning the decisions I make, but I do particularly like books that kind of make me think. And this is one of those, and it really is just how habits affect our everyday life and how we create those habits, or how we create new habits rather than breaking old habits. I don't know if it's so much of an implementation, okay, do this, this, and this, to have this, this, and this result. In all the research that he did about habits and how a lot of people with bad habits or good habits, how they created that, what the response was in their mind with that. Anyway, great book. I'm probably not explaining it very well, but that is definitely one to pick up and read, if even at your old local library. Sacred Parenting by Gary Thomas. Another one that I highly recommend is his Sacred Marriage. These aren't necessarily how-to books in the sense that Sacred Parenting is not going to teach you how to parent your child. It is how parenting affects your relationship with the Lord. Instead of discussing how parents can change their kids, Sacred Parenting turns the tables and demonstrates how God uses our kids to change us. And I would absolutely, positively agree with that. One of the few times I can say this has made me a better parent. Just the perspectives. That's what I'm trying to say. Perspectives on different things are just, was really great and challenging. Same thing as Sacred Marriage. You know, not so much about creating the perfect marriage, but how marriage is supposed to make us holy rather than creating the perfect marriage. So those books I absolutely recommend. Okay, in the realm of homeschooling, When Children Love to Learn, Practical Applications of Charlotte Mason Philosophy for Today by Elaine Cooper. This is phenomenal for just, you're ready to start Charlotte Mason. There's so much information. How do you just start applying it? And this is a great, great way to just go on and start doing that. Break down a lot of the subjects that you would be teaching and kind of just showing what the philosophy was for that and then how you can implement it. So When Children Love to Learn by Elaine Cooper, I will say that just to start in a practical manner, there's a Charlotte Mason Companion, which I've loaned out, and there's that one. And those two, I would definitely say just start with those, you know, for the children's sake, and have at it, okay? The Art of Work by Jeff Goins. Phenomenal. I don't really know how much more to... this just really makes you think differently about work. Taking pride in your work, for one thing. I feel that's something that we really lack today. And probably the biggest thing I took away from this was his whole master and apprentice, and how he talks about that, and how he talks about we really don't have the masters and apprentices anymore. You were an apprentice until you could almost get to the level of masters, but then you had to create your own kind of spin-off of it. So if you were a silversmith, you had this art that you created, and then you would kind of spin off of that. We kind of can see it more with Monet, pulling out a painter, you know, Monet, anything like that, where you have this artist that is learning, and then he creates his own spin on it. And he kind of talks a lot about that, and it's more about choosing a work you can be proud of and putting deliberate thought into it. And it's a great, great, great book. There's so much more to it than that. I'm just trying to give the basics of each book for you so that you can kind of make a decision. I'm going to be making a blog post with all of these in it with more information, and then you can click links and then it'll take you to the Amazon page so you can read descriptions, you can read reviews, and get, you know, a more understanding. I'm just going for, these are some of my favorite nonfictions and a blurb as to why I find them my favorite. Alright, Elizabeth George, A Woman After God's Own Heart. There's actually, I think, 3 of these that are my favorites, but I could only pull out this one. I think because I've given away to others, to people that I thought would really benefit from them. But Loving God with All Your Mind, as well as Beautiful in God's Eyes, and this one, those are probably my top 3 Elizabeth George. She has a bunch of them. And what I really, really appreciate about her is how biblical she is. I think too often we can get, especially with woman readers, kind of warped into this idea of here are circumstances and here's how I'm working through it. But, and that's not wrong, but when I need something that'll turn me back to God, I need scripture. And that is something that Elizabeth George is very strong in. And that's one reason why I really like her. If you could only choose one, I think my favorite one is Beautiful in God's Eyes, then Loving God with All Your Mind, and then this one. So Elizabeth George, definitely one of my favorite woman Christian nonfiction authors. Whew, that's a mouthful. Organized Simplicity, The Clutter-Free Approach to Intentional Living by Tish Oxenreider. It's TSH, so I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. This I read way before KonMari Method, and this probably is about the same idea, whereas KonMari focuses on keeping things that choose joy. She just wanted a very simplistic life as a way of intentional living so that she could put her focus into more of missionary living or intentional living or whatever. Very simple. She is Christian, so if the KonMari and some of the spiritualism does bother you, this would be a great alternative. I got something from both of those. I think she has a good way of making sure that things stay minimal, and KonMari kind of gives you a starting point to start living minimally. But I have a long way to go, and these books just really, really are phenomenal, and they have step-by-step practical things to do. I highly recommend that one. More recently acquired and I love, I Don't Want to Talk About It by Terrence Real. Is kind of a book about depression and men in particular. I feel like a lot of the depression books kind of focus more on a spiritual way or are more feeling oriented that really doesn't fit men. But my aunt recommended this to me, and I read it, and I've just been like, wow, this just is so insightful. I wish more people that especially deal with, that have a male spouse or a male friend or whatever, that deal with depression, son, whatever, could get their hands on this book and really it'll help them understand how men can process depression in different ways. So highly recommend this. It's, again, another non-fiction favorite and very eye-opening. But last but not least, am I the only one that really loves just reading homestead books, even if I can't go out and implement everything in them? Just read. It's kind of, this is my Laura Ingalls, okay? I can't go out and wear bonnets and prairie dresses and chase after Indians, but I can't always go out and get horses and chickens and sheep. But I do love to read about it and kind of dream about it, and so this is probably one of my favorite. I think the other one that I really enjoy is a book that I got on Kindle. I think it's called The Quarter Acre Farm, and it's just everything you can do on a quarter of an acre, which is what our old house was. And so it had the playout, or the layout and things like that. That being said, we're in the middle of the desert and a lot of this won't work. We're also in the middle of a city where a lot of the laws won't let us do this kind of thing. So again, it's kind of like a mother's little house on the prairie type of thing. This one is a quarter of an acre as well. This backyard, a homestead, produce all the food you need on just a quarter of your acre. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book. And, of course, pulling it off the shelf made me think, oh my goodness, I just want to read this again. So, those are just a few of my favorite nonfiction books. These are ones that, quite oftentimes nonfiction books I'll read and pass along, try to implement and whatnot. But these ones have stayed on my shelf, stood the test of time, and have been read a few more times, apparently. But just wanted to show you. There you go. These are the nonfiction books I like. Oh, I guess you got the wrong side. Sorry. But anyway, I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. And the kids are home, which means it's going to get loud. So until next time, hope this helps. Bye.